Risto, welcome to the Voice of Insurance.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Insly, tell us all about it. How long has it been going? How did you get the idea for it?
Insly has been around now for 9 years. So idea came so that my first company was a digital insurance broker. So in the year 2000, I established a digital broker in Estonia. That's called Easy.
So it's like a compare, price comparison type website, that kind of thing?
Yes, it was a price comparison, and it also did all the policy issuing and policy administration. So it wasn't pure price comparison, but it was also actually digital broker, meaning that we issued the policies, we did all the payment collection, we did all the renewals. So we didn't price comparison sites just compare the prices and send you to the insurance company website, right? So we did like full stack
you
online.
Own the customer in
yes,
that sense.
Indeed, we own the customers, we manage all the renewals, everything. So it was really a digital broker, and of course in the year 2000, internet sales. We were a bit early with the internet sales, and then we took the same technology that we built for the internet sales and we used it in other channels. Like we made a traditional insurance broker operations more efficient. We even, for example, started to sell insurance in gas stations, embedded insurance in banks and leasing companies. Also, we gave the technology to the let's say traditional brokers to work more efficiently, and that turned out to be the biggest insurance broker in Baltic states. And the bad thing with the insurance business or insurance broker business is that it's not really geographically scalable. It's very country specific, right?
Yeah.
And as we had like the biggest business in 3 very small countries, and my restless soul kind of wanted to do something bigger. Then at one point I sold the broker operation and spun out the technology and part of the team.
So this was, you'd spend a lot of time building all that, presumably because in the year 2000 you had to build all your own technology.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So you became good at the tech side and you thought, well,
yes,
this is the business, and that's when Insly started. That was about 9 years ago.
Yes, indeed. So I never went into technology, right? So the technology has always been like the mean to achieve the business goal, right? So and after selling the broker business, I just saw that insurance businesses all over the world were like in a stone age compared to what we had built to ourselves, all right? And then I thought that what about just starting to sell the technology to others so that they could become as digital as my own company was.
I suppose the one thing about technology is, compared to licensed and regulated insurance broking, is that of course the technology is completely transferable and global, isn't it?
Indeed. It is country agnostic from that point of view, and it also doesn't have that local. You don't need to do deals with local insurance companies. You don't need to sell locally. It's just you all that is done by our customers. We just give them the tools to do that more efficiently, right?
So you're 9 years into this, technology only insurance business. What sort of scale have you got up to?
We have today around 100 employees. We have 44, over 40 MGAs and insurance companies using our software, and we have over actually 4,000 individual brokers who use our software. Actually, we have two business units. One is MGA and insurance company software, and the other is insurance broker software. So insurance broker software is pretty much country specific. So I think today we will more focus on that MGA and insurance company software, and that's where we have a bit over 40 customers.
And where are your customers spread geographically?
It's if you look the map of Insly customers, and probably half of the world is colored orange. So it's pretty much all over. We are focusing very much on, I would say, like Western world, because culturally we can sell Europe, US, Canada, so in these countries. Half of our customers are approximately in UK, and then half are all over the world, right? That's how we do.
Something that I associate you, and particularly if we go to your website, Insly, we think about no code. So can you give us the sort of dime store tour of what no code is for people who don't really know what that is?
I think it's good to explain it through examples that are understandable for the persons, right? So the good examples of the no-code, I think one of the first no-code solution was Google Forms, right? When you need to create the form in a website, some time ago you needed a developer that. And now you go drag and drop down. You can kind of do the form yourself.
Okay.
Then the next step, let's building the websites. Like even now, many companies are building the websites using developers, but not many. But not many.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yes, a very small business like mine. There are all these easy providers. You can there's a load of templates. I just put a bit of artwork.
You can go to the wix.com and you can build a website. It's not much more complicated than using Microsoft Word, right? It's simple. I think these are the examples of no code is when like someone like me can actually build a software without development requirements. So it's like you drag the questions there. You can configure it using like the normal language, not the PHP or Java, but you can use the normal mouse or the language to configure the IT systems and I think that these are the examples of the no-code tools. And now we are bringing the same thing to the insurance, right? So anyone who is kind of literate with computer, right, can build insurance products. So in the same way that they would use wix.com to build the website.
So it's almost like you can start a series of effective online proposal form, series of questions, and then turn that into a route that would get someone somewhere, and then you could keep going by adding their address and sending them a policy or whatever, the email address and other things.
Yes, exactly. And our ultimate goal, I think, would be that if you are let's say underwriter in the insurance company, for example, and you have the idea, then in principle you can go to the Insly website, download the software, let's say, or sign up to the software, and you can just building the insurance company yourself, right? From the quote form until the financial ledger claim, you just step by step you build, and then it's ready, and you don't need like any meaningful IT budget for that. I think that's kind of we are not like fully there, but I think we are on a way that, let's say, any innovative mindset insurance people can build everything.
So it's just almost turning things into almost visual representations that you can drag around and say, well, if I put the quoting over here and the pricing over there, and then the contact bit over here, and then the customer service button, and obviously the claim system built in.
Great.
Another jargon busting thing I want to ask you is about low code. When people talk about no code, you can see, there is no code. You just pick up objects and move them around and turn them into a process. What do we mean by low code? And that means, presumably, means it's sort of like a hybrid. You have to know a bit of computing. You have to know a bit of computer language to make it work. Is that what it is?
I think you don't even you need to know the computer anyway, right? So even to do the drag and drop, you need to be able to power off the computer and do something. But like in my understanding, the difference is there that no code is like really drag and drop, right? Low code is, in principle, you are configuring the system. You need to read like the JSON file. JSON file is in principle text file, so it's like you don't need to code like directly PHP, but some things you are just kind of configuring in the text file. You don't need to know the programming language, but you probably need, let's say, a few weeks of training, right? So you like to learn the basic things, and then you can do that. So it's
JSON is this file that you work in.
No, JSON is just a standard language in the IT world where what configures the like in principle.
Right. So it's like J stands for something, probably whatever the same thing is in JPEG or something. It's sort of joint association. It's one of these industry standard languages that has been agreed by.
It's a file format. It's like XML, right? It's
right, okay.
Something like that. There's a structure where what defines some things in the system. So it's.
And when you said PHP, do you know what that stands for?
I know PHP is a program. It's like Java, PHP. I don't know what this is, but it's a language.
Core computer language stuff. Right.
Just okay. Example of programming language. So but no code, low code means that you just it's not so you can break up the system, right? When it's no code, then it's really kind of drag and drop. You cannot do anything wrong. With the low code,
You could get the wrong code.
You can get things wrong, right? So you need to know the structure. You need to have necessary training to do it correctly. So, but it's you don't need to be a developer, right?
If you need some literacy, I suppose,
exactly.
Otherwise, you're going to spell it wrong, and that's going to be no good.
Exactly.
And where is within, you're working across brokers, MGAs, and carriers. So, in what part of that insurance process, of that value chain, of that sales process, and that customer journey, where's the core part where you're adding the most value? You think where, when your customers are really getting hold of this, they're saying, "Wow, where do they use it?" I'm presuming they use it in the front end when they're first getting in front of a customer and how to capture that customer quickly and efficiently. Is that right, or are they using it further down the chain? In claims process, for example.
Yeah, I would say where the no-code revolution started, and where you see actually the biggest wow effect is clearly on a quote and bind side. So building the forms, building really fast policy documents, and underwriting rules, like being able to do all the tariff changes online. I think that's where when you show that part of the system, then it's like great. Oh, that's really cool, right? It's you can feel that. But when where actually the complexities, or when you actually like rubber hits the road and you start trading with your IT system, in that case, you need to do the invoicing, you need to do the financial ledger, you need to do the reporting to the insurance companies, and sometimes you need to do the claims as well, right? And I think that's where actually the biggest complexity is. There are a lot of no-code solutions on a quote and bind side, because you actually don't need to know a lot about insurance to create a no-code form, document, calculation engine. So that's simple. But when you need to get like the finances and reporting correct, and when you need to do midterm adjustments, and that's and if you think about the insurance policy, right, there is very often there are, let's say, maybe 3-4 risks on the insurance policy, maybe 3-4 objects on the insurance policy, and then it could be underwritten by 3 carriers, right? And then you need to split that premiums, like slice it differently, and the insurance premium of like few £1,000 could have hundreds of data fields, right? So that you could do reports based on objects, based on risks, based on the insurance companies. And now when the midterm adjustment comes in, you need to like recalculate everything. So I think that's where that's actually what is pretty complex, and there is not too many no-code providers who can do quote and bind and all that finance part in the same system. I think that's where I think we stand out quite a lot from the market, and that's also kind of when you are the MGA and you want to do the new IT system, then you could be a little bit fooled because like that front end is coming really fast, right? And you think, okay, I will solve that finances thing later, right? But solving it later is like building the house and changing the foundation afterwards. It's pretty difficult, right? So if you get the structure wrong, and then usually it ends up so that they recruit a lot of people to get the data together. So because that's hard. So I think that's where I would say the industry has done a big step forward in a quote and bind side, but like having end-to-end systems, I think there are not many who actually can do that on a no-code level. So, but we can. And
your core classes that your customers are currently applying your technology in, is it on the consumer level or small and medium-sized business, commercial combined kind of products, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. We do all non-life products. So we have like starting from the retail products until like aviation and oil rigs, and so that doesn't. The product really, you can get best benefit out of the IT system when you have, let's say, low premium and high volume business, because that's when you actually really need IT. So when you do 3 policies a month, you can do these in Excel pretty fine, right? So I think it's but from the system point of view, I think we have built hundreds of non-life insurance products. So we don't do life, but in non-life we do all the products. Doesn't really matter.
And so in terms of how high up this could go up the value chain, a lot of my listeners are in specialty and in reinsurance and global classes like that. Presumably you're saying you could be relevant to them as well.
For the specialty lines, of course, as I said, we do oil rigs, we do aviation, we do like toothbrush integrated insurance. So there's a lot of things. We don't do reinsurance. So reinsurance is something that I personally don't know a lot about. So, and I think in reinsurance, like, I could be wrong, but my feeling is that all the transactional complexity is actually happening on a main insurance level, right? So reinsurance just gets the high level numbers, and I think there could be some no-code tools for the reinsurance companies as well, but just not my expertise, right? So if some listeners of yours is from reinsurance, then happy to discuss, but I don't know.
Yes, if you know insurance, you know reinsurance. In the end, it's just the person buying the insurance happens to be an insurance company already, and obviously you tend to be covering a whole portfolio,
yes,
or a very large risk, which is almost some of the facultative risks, of course, are almost like whole portfolios in themselves. If it's for a very large multinational corporation that's got hundreds and thousands of buildings all over the world and it's a property program, then obviously it is quite complex. What's the potential for no code, do you think? At the moment, what kind of penetration have you got into the industry? It's a relatively new thing. It's not new for you. I know you've been around for quite a while, and you've been pioneering a lot of this. How much of the more potential do you think you've still got to go in terms of, do you have a rough idea of how many of the potential customers out there still haven't really done anything in the no-code arena, who could do?
Of course, I don't know, because statistical office is not measuring that important social parameter.
In your own field, you think you've got a long way. You've got a lot more avenues open to you in terms of potential.
But in general, of course, is let's say 99% of insurance world is still trading on old systems, and the no code is just being experimented by some guys, and so yeah, it's clear it's a huge potential. I actually don't see any reason why all of the insurance market shouldn't be working with a no-code solution, or maybe to even put it differently. I think what is coding, right? Coding in principle is giving to the computer the instructions what to do, right? And I think it's like two things are happening: no-code tools develop, and then like it's. People, like young generation, is getting much more literate, so they learn programming already in the school, right? So it's I would even say that soon we all are able to code. Coding will be like language, right? So it becomes much simpler. You can look at let's take the example of probably you have tested that ChatGPT thing, right? Now that ChatGPT is mind-blowing, right? And that has at the moment 175 billion parameters. The next version will have 5 trillion parameters. It's 600 times more, right? And already the current version is mind-blowing. I know we have no imagination. We cannot imagine how simple coding will be in 3 to 5 years. So it's from that point of view, I'm pretty certain that it's building the IT systems in the future. You don't need developers. It's like developers are only doing maybe something on a really root level, right? So and also when the bigger insurance companies are getting more used to this, so they will allow small ones to do the testing, right? So they will come in a bit later, and of course, it's like there is no logical reason why you should code in the next 3 to 5 years. So.
No, I get it. That sounds. I suppose it's a bit like at some point in the future, my grandchildren probably will say, why it would never occur to them that they would need to learn to drive.
If I would say you today, I will send you a mail after that podcast, confirming that it's all good. How do you hear it? Will you wait for the envelope to come tomorrow? Probably not. Actually, you would expect email, right?
Yes.
But E is gone from the language, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's same with now we imagine coding is something like really tech. No, it's like. Quite soon coding is just interacting with a computer, maybe using the verbal language. Please configure me the IT system that sells marine insurance in Canada. And let it look exactly like that the MGA has. Add PayPal payment functionality.
So you're looking at the screen, you're looking and saying, don't do
Yes.
it like that. Oh, can you do it like this?
Yes.
Can you make it blue now?
Yes.
Can you do this?
Yes. And we are not too far away. At the moment in Insly, there is configurator between that, but it's kind of, I can already imagine so that you talk to the microphone and system is configuring. Of course, we might be 2-3 years away from maybe 5, maybe 10, because we cannot really estimate the speed of the technological development. But yeah, I think that's where it's going.
It's mind blowing, isn't it? So when someone's going to approach no code for the first time, then what do they need to start thinking? How do they need to change their thinking?
I think the first thinking is so that it will be traditionally how people approach the IT development is that they write a specification, they describe what the IT system should do, right? And then they give a task to development company or someone, and after 5 months, maybe 2 months, something comes back, and it's okay. Actually, that's
not what I want.
That wasn't. It looks like pretty much different of my imagination what I described here, right? With a no code, it's there is a term like you see what you get, right? So in principle, you are not you skip that specification part. You in principle are in the same room with the configuration specialist. You are describing, put it here, and it's kind of being built in front of your eyes, and that's going to remove all that time and financial investment, and also you actually feel you can have a online feedback loop, and that's, I think, and even the other thing is that what we tell to our customers that actually before you pay us any meaningful amount of the money, right? It's not very expensive anyway, but you already see the system, right? If someone sells you the no-code solution and say you will get it in 3 months, then it's actually not the no-code. You should be. We are able in a customer demo meetings and sales meeting to already show them the system, and that's like the change of paradigm, or what's the word, right? So paradigm, exactly. So it's like not it becomes much more friendly to you. IT is not, you feel that you are actually controlling that, right? It's not IT company who is controlling that or a developer. It's you. You know that you can change it pretty easily, and I think that's the main difference, right?
That's really interesting, because one of the other things I'm sure that anyone approaching IT, they come with a sense of almost a negative sense and a kind of defensive sense. They was thinking, how am I going to avoid creating a whole new load of, obviously I've got my old green screen legacy server stuff, which I've finally kind of put on the cloud eventually, and now they're always going to come to new technology with an idea of this is going to be the old technology of the future. You know what I mean? And so am I creating new legacy? It sounds like what you're saying is it won't matter, because there will be, it sounds like that in this future where you can build new software all the time without having to think about it, legacy won't be relevant anymore, because you can change everything all the time.
Yes, exactly. So it's that's the difference. Maybe let's compare it to the office, right? So if there's two options: you buy the office or you rent the office. So if you rent the office, you can, if you don't want to work here anymore, you move to a new office. And with SaaS solutions, it's kind of the same. You don't have 10-20 million investment in your balance sheet, and then you are kind of sunk cost, and you kind of need to live with that for the next 5 years until it's amortized. No, it's like when it's an Insly customer or any other no-code solution customer is not happy with us anymore, they can go in principle tomorrow. Okay, let's say they pay us 7,000 a month, then that cost is off. They go to our competitor, and that and also the software is constantly developing. So when I describe the future of no code, right? So no code solution, any SaaS solution shouldn't get obsolete when the company is developing further, right? So we are under the pressure to constantly be the best on the market, because if after 5 years someone is 10 times better than we, then customers just go away, because switching the IT system with the future no-code solutions will be easier and easier. With a old system, it's like you have that. It's very hard to change the even if you are completely unhappy with your IT system, then
You're stuck with it, aren't you?
you are stuck with that, and you don't really believe that someone can do it better, right? The other IT guy comes in, oh, I can do it better, and then you kind of probably it's the same, right?
The same, yeah.
So and no code thing is going to, it takes that friction away. You can I know, let's say let's take that website example. So when building the website is really easy, then you can just go to the new platform and build a website, and here you go. But when you have some developers and someone, you are not in control, but developers are in control. So, but when you can do it yourself, then you are in control.
And the main thing
right?
is that you can, and that data is fully transferable and easily switch from one place to another. You don't suddenly think, oh goodness, am I going to lose all this customer data?
Yeah, of course, with critical customers, we have all the data backed up in a customer servers as well. So like that's a business continuity, and that's we are the core system, right? So if you are going to the cloud, or is it no code, low code, doesn't really matter. But you should think this way, that data is someone else is holding your data. So you need to make sure that whatever happens, you can get the data right, because there is a likelihood that Insly will disappear, right? So I think our customers, if we for some reason disappear, so they have the data, so they can, okay, it's maybe not so easy, but they although it's in our cloud, but they can access all the data and they have it. So yeah, of course.
I just remembered we should probably clear up an abbreviation you use there, SaaS being software as a service, and I suppose what we really mean is things that are on the cloud, things that you're renting that they're being updated constantly, and they're not sitting in some box in the corner of your office anymore. They are on the internet. They're up in the cloud, as we'd say.
Yes, they're usually in AWS or Google Cloud or somewhere like that. So,
you mentioned you work with brokers. So, what's the big difference between your broker systems, your carrier systems? What are the main differences?
The main difference is the broker system actually is not no code, and it actually doesn't have to be, because insurance brokers, if they are selling or intermediating standard products of insurance companies on that market, then the software is exactly the same for everyone, and because all the product building is done on the insurance company side. So on a broker side, I think Insly broker software is not on a no-code level, because that's not needed. It's much more other things are important there, because we are not configuring the products for the broker. Because brokers, unless the broker is acting like MGA, but in that case, they already have the MGA software. But yeah, insurance broker software is it's a different animal.
So if you're a business owner and you're looking at your systems, how do you know when it's time to upgrade them? Are there certain things now? I mean, with a car, it's kind of obvious. It's kind of, you can see the latest thing. You know, I would go. I remember when I bought my last car. I'm way behind everybody. I wanted certain things that had happened since the last car, and it was power steering and aircon. I wanted both of those things. It's hard to believe now. Every car has power steering, but I didn't have power steering on this really old car I had. And the next car I wanted power steering, and now I'm sure I would like to have the thing where it automatically parks itself, because I think that would go down really well. Parking in London is quite hard. Parallel parking, not everyone's very good at it, and I'd love that. You just press the button, it parks itself, and whatever. I'm sure eventually I would like the option where it just drives me to work and I don't have to do anything. How does a CEO know that their own insurance system isn't really up to date anymore? What are the latest things that it probably needs that it would be an easy way of finding out that you're behind the times?
I think one of the test question could be that in the current IT system, am I able to automate all the processes end to end, right? So policy, sales, financing, payments, claims. So you don't necessarily need to automate everything, but does it support it? If in some cases it's so. If you see that your current system for some reason is not enabling that, then you can assume that someone is doing it better than you. Is it urgent problem to solve? Probably no, because if you are, let's say, a big company with a good brand, with a nice team, you can handle that maybe for 1, 2, 5, 10 years. Like it's not like you need to do it. You need to automate everything. You don't. But I think that's kind of, that you are not best in the technology. But being, let's say, 70-80% level is okay as well. But maybe like comparing to your car example, then I think with the IT is a little bit different, because car you usually need to change like once. You don't upgrade your car engine and now add the power steering, and it's just you change it. With the IT system, I think we have been advocating quite a lot so that you actually don't need to change your IT system completely. Let's eat that cake in small bites. Let's take one product. Let's move that completely to the new platform. Because you have a big business to run, let's not gonna break that down. Let's move the least important product on the Insly platform. And then you see how it's going. Are you comfortable with that? You can feel out how the system works. And then if you're happy, we take another product. And then we take another. And then maybe after 1 year or 3 years, all of your products are moved away. I think that's what, because then you are not disrupting the business so much, right? So I think that's, but when you move the product, then you try to move it like end to end, from the sales until claim, that everything is automated. I think that's kind of a maybe reasonable approach to look at that.
Yeah, so when I see those Teslas parked in my road, I know it's not modular. I couldn't suddenly, obviously with my old car, you see, I know I can't install the smart self-driving modular part of it, because I don't think it has any of the infrastructure that would support that. So I know I definitely need to get the Tesla style car to do that. And but at least with software, you can do it in a more modular and less painful way.
You cannot upgrade your legacy system, so that's hard, right? So, but when you move your product to the Insly or any of our good competitors, then that system acts like a Tesla, right? So it's on a certain level today, but when we build new features, then you will get these as well. So it's
and they'll sort of download automatically, won't they? Yeah.
There is even no download. It's just it's just
be there,
if you log in, then it looks their new features are there. So it's that's like, again, it's a different thing. Your software is constantly being kept on a market level, and that's why like that SaaS fee or the rent that you pay for the software, it's not only as it is now, but it's also like including all the future upgrades of that.
You're a really interesting entrepreneur in our sector. The last over 20 years you've been doing this, and it was interesting reading up about you that you were involved in a blockchain insurance venture, and that didn't work out. But it's good that you're able to fast fail something in this world. It was really good. Particularly, it would be interesting to find out why it didn't work, or why it didn't get traction. Maybe it did work and it just didn't get traction and no one bought it. Because obviously 4 or 5 years ago, we were talking about blockchain this, blockchain that, and we assumed that it would become core to our administration as an industry. But I'd love to have your view on how it worked out and why it didn't work out.
Yeah, that was on the times when, I think you remember these ICO booms, right? There was a lot of, the blockchain came, and then a lot of ICOs, a lot of money was there. Then I had some kind of like really interesting revelation. I even remember where it was. I think sitting on a floor of the bathroom and I just tried to write that. And then I wrote like in principle the business model of, in principle, like a Lloyd's of London on blockchain, right? So if you think about the insurance, then insurance is like, if you simplify it to the first principles, then you have a capital, and you have a risk, right? So insurance is a mechanism connecting capital to the risk.
Yes.
Now, and like all the friction that is between seemed like so crazy for me. So you just, and what Lloyd's of London does, it does exactly the same thing, but it does it in a really old way, right? So now you can take the blockchain technology, issue tokens. Tokens would be like insurance-linked securities that are representing certain risk pools. And then you have MGAs or syndicates who are like taking the risks, and then like the reward is then given to these token holders. It's pretty hard to explain it shortly, but that was the concept, like Lloyd's of London on blockchain. Now, why it didn't succeed? Many reasons. First of all, first reason was that ICO boom ended before we raised the money. So you can imagine that doing something like that is a really high risk project that requires meaningful amount of money. we thought maybe the market has given now the blockchain and a lot of money that wants to take big risks, right, on the ICO time. Then we thought, okay, let's try it out. But the ICO boom ended before we managed to go to the market with that idea. And now looking like retrospectively to that, and after studying like thousands of hours of blockchain afterwards, I would say in reality you don't need blockchain to do that, right? So because in insurance there is so many central points of failure. Like, okay, first of all, you need a license. Secondly, you need to collect the money. Someone should make a claims decision. You need to trust so many central, small or big central authorities, but the blockchain is actually all about decentralization, right? Yeah. So unless you in a crypto world, you can do maybe, let's say, some crypto insurance when you kind of, but even then, like claim payout, someone should do the claim payout decision. And whenever there is a central point of failure, then most likely you can, because blockchain technology it's not a perfect technology. It's very slow, it's expensive to develop, and there are transaction fees, right? So if you don't need the completely decentralized system, then you can use SQL data, normal database. Exactly. Fine, right? If you need to trust anyway, then you can do it. Even think about building that same case. I could build it on a normal technology the same way. So from that point of view, I think blockchain was remember the stories then, Bitcoin is bad, but the blockchain technology, that's really cool. I think that statement is completely wrong, because if centralized authorities don't need blockchain, period. Yeah. I think that's kind of what it is. And it's I have a little bit, I've used the example of putting the banana on blockchain. So let's you have an idea. I want to put the banana on blockchain. And you divide the banana into 100 tokens, each represents 1% of the banana. It's a really great idea. You can trade these tokens, and when the banana value goes up, then your token value increases. It's a really solid case, right? and in that sentence, you can replace banana with insurance, real estate, company revenues, anything, but it's still banana. Who in a world, you need someone to validate whether the banana still exists. If the banana doesn't exist anymore, then everything kind of breaks down, right? So there is no need for, and there's only one asset that doesn't have that banana problem. So that's Bitcoin. And when you understand the difference of Bitcoin and banana on blockchain, then you get the point, right? And all kind of blah 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 stories. We do that blockchain stuff. It seems complicated and smart, but actually many of them are bananas on blockchain.
So something that's consumable, once it's gone, isn't it? It doesn't really matter.
Yes, it's indeed, and adding blockchain to the formula doesn't make banana somehow to be there.
So it was kind of a solution wandering around looking for a problem in insurance, and there wasn't really a problem that suited it.
Indeed, I think it's in insurance. Let's say. I think what a lot of this kind, let's solve transactions between insurance companies. Let's use blockchain for that transaction efficiency. But come on, you can do it in any other, because these parties need to trust each other anyway. So it's they are central parties, and they just need the IT to make it more efficient. And blockchain is complicated, expensive, and good fact is that blockchain technology existed much more earlier than Bitcoin. No one has found any use case for that, right? It was a technology, pretty cool thing to do, but no one found any use case for that. And when Bitcoin came, that was the first use case. Yeah. And I would say that's almost the only real use case for blockchain so far. Maybe something else is being created, but all in all, it's but these are all bananas on blockchain, so that's it's cool.
Well, from blockchain, the buzzword of 2016, 2017, should we say, which has slowly diminished since then. Everyone's talking about embedded insurance. In fact, you mentioned embedded insurance in the context of something you were doing 20 years ago. what do you think about that? And how should we be preparing ourselves to be embedding insurance into everything?
Yeah, when they embedded insurance.
And what do you mean? And what do people mean? It probably means a lot of different things to different people as well.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
I think so. I think when the embedded insurance word came, then I was and everyone talked it's like really kind of new thing. Then I thought, well, what's new there? Embedded insurance has been around as far as I have been in insurance world. But what's about Insly does many embedded insurance projects, and I think it's a good thing. But embedded insurance is usually profitable for the insurance company, usually profitable for the distribution channel, and it's usually very bad deal for the end customer. Right?
Yes,
it's a really bad deal.
As a former insurance professional, I can see instinctively that the mobile phone insurance that I'm being sold
yes.
At the point of sale or the extended warranty, that they're bad deals.
Indeed, you know that it's a bad deal. Why? First of all, it's expensive, right? Secondly, it's the transaction costs are pretty high. Everyone wants to get the cake of that, and it's really expensive, right? Secondly, it's not expensive from the pounds or euros term. It's cheap, but when you understand the logic, then you're paying like 7 times more than actually the risk cost is. Secondly, very often you don't know, you don't remember that you have that. If you buy a sofa from the shop, and then after 2 years you have the accident, probably you don't remember that that sofa had that embedded insurance included, so you forget about it. Third thing is that very likely it is insured by some other insurance policy as well. Most likely that sofa has your home insurance is covering it anyway. Maybe not extended warranty, but these are the three cases what's usually not good deal for the customer. And I think to illustrate that is that the oldest embedded insurance solution what everyone has used is a car rental insurance, right?
Yeah.
And it's a complete rip-off, right? So I have never bought. You can buy the annual insurance with the cost of 5 days. If you rent the car like 2 times a year, then it's actually cheaper to buy annual coverage. And usually it's with some credit cards are covering it free of charge. And that's like illustration of what actually embedded insurance is. There are some exceptions. I think credit card embedded insurance is pretty good. I think that's a good value when you know how to use it. For the consumer, that's good. Then also when you are kind of buying the car and then leasing companies are embedding it pretty good. But what they are experimenting at the moment, you go to the travel, buy the travel insurance, you buy the mobile phone. But it's like these are, as they are usually bad deals for the end customer, then my thought process is that like at the end of the day, customers should win, right? So at the end of the day, I don't know how long you can cheat customer with that. So I'm stronger believer in a like holistic insurance policy that is covering everything, right? That you have one insurance policy, it covers, let's say, sofas and your travel and your mobile phones. It's like that covers everything, and I think, but that's much more difficult to do.
So it's good to your advice would be to make sure that you can embed insurance in everything, and presumably some of your technology is going to make it really easy to do that.
Of course.
But you should think more about why you should be doing it and make sure that the customer wins at the end of the day, that you're giving them a fantastically good value. Mm-hmm. If I went to the car hire desk and they said, I know it's got a €1,000 deductible on this policy, but it was €4 or whatever it was. If it was actually €12 to take it away, then I'd buy it. But when they say it's 120, which is about 50% of what the actual car rental has already cost me anyway, I never quite get my head around it. So as you can see that there's obviously someone's earning 50-60% commission along this chain, and it's not making a huge amount of sense. So that would be your main thought. But otherwise, in terms of doing it, so the actual execution of it is actually quite simple.
Yeah, I think supporting embedded insurance. So I can be critical from the customer point of view, but that's not my job as the IT provider, right? So if someone comes to us with we have a great technology with that. We do many embedded insurance projects, and some of them it's not necessarily that all of them. Some of them are good value. So it's like, and as you asked in the beginning, what is the definition of embedded insurance? So it's like when some embedded insurance startups are looking at more, let's say, that they sell you insurance somehow better, and it's a very wide definition. So if you at the moment go to you never know what they mean by that. So
is it fair to say it's insurance when you're not you didn't go to buy insurance, you went to buy something else, and you ended up getting insurance included in the package?
Yes, I think that's my perception of the embedded insurance, but you have different I think when I'm talking about that's not a good deal for customers, and I think that is not a good. It's not a good deal to sell insurance with a sofa, insurance with a I don't know, mobile phone, or I think these are usually not good value offerings. But there are some cases where they could work. So if you look at embedded insurance this way, that you make it easier for the customer to buy insurance somehow, then it's fine. That's what we want to do. We want the sales process to be really convenient, assuming that you sell to the customer good value product. But unfortunately, most of the embedded insurance products that I face as a customer, knowing insurance, I just see that they are kind of trying to.
It'd be great if you got price comparison at that point of sale. I love it. So when you go into that car hire desk and say, you can have this one's 12, this one's 13, and this one's 11.
But usually they are really cheap anyway. So it's like the price point is very low, and the loss ratios of most of the embedded insurance products are like 20-30%, right? So it's like it's low, right? So and when you have that so high distribution fee or the transactional, so then it's like you are spending most of the money on not insurance coverage. So I think that's bad. So optimally, it should be, let's say, 70%, right? So I think that's fair deal. At 70% loss ratio for the customer is fair deal.
It's value, yeah.
Yes, it's value.
Yep. And, well, before we close up, what's the main plan for Insly this year? What are your main objectives this year, and where do you think you're going to be getting?
I don't know, but this year I think all in all we want to digitize insurance businesses and make it really make the technology affordable and accessible for insurance businesses. This year we want to do the same thing, and this year we have last 2 years we have invested a lot into product, right? I think maybe this year is the year where we go more. But when we put more effort to the go-to-market and explaining what it is, because it's no point to build a product when only you know about that.
Yeah, and if people want to get in touch, what's the best way of contacting you? Obviously, you've got a website.
Go to the website or look me up from the LinkedIn. I think that's probably the two.
Well, we'll make sure we have all the links at the end of the podcast. But I'd say I've come to the end of all my questions. I've really enjoyed talking to you. You can see the passion coming through. I'm sure. So your business model is to get people hooked on the no code sort of revolution. Once they can start building insurance products and seeing them in front of their face, then presumably they're never going to go back, are they? Once they've done this.
Yeah, indeed, and that's a really what the comment is triggered one more thought in me. What's gonna unleash the innovation in the insurance world? Like at the moment, the technology is accessible to only 5-10% of the insurance businesses. The big ones, right? But these big guys are not really innovative. They are just they are risk averse. They don't want to. They do their business.
Yeah.
But when you think when actually innovation happens in the world, let's take that. You have a mobile phone, iPhone, Android. It's when you build the iPhone and you make it open for everyone to build apps on that.
Yes.
So if all the apps in the iPhone would have been built by Apple, I think we wouldn't have seen that innovation. You should give the tool to public, the developers or the guys who want to build, and then you create that innovation. You start the innovation super cycle, let's call it this way. And in insurance the same way. If you get hundreds or thousands of people to build with very small costs, then you imaginable things start to happen. I think that's kind of what we actually want to achieve, right?
Almost they should buy the system and then actually just open it out to all their employees. at least to insurance professionals and say, why don't you just create your own product and then show me at the end of the week what you've done?
Not even. You can just, as an underwriter of the insurance company, you just kind of want to play around. You kind of go there, you start building. At one point, you go to the boss. By the way, I built that insurance company here. Like it's all online, everything is there, and I just need the capacity, like all done. So and there's I haven't spent anything. I just paid €500 subscription fee to play around with that. And that will be the case. It's like you can compare it also to cloud computing, right? So when before the servers were only available for big companies, right? But when Google and Amazon made the cloud, then 2-3 people teams are able to build globally scalable solution with a zero initial investment. And when you look at the budgets, or let's take the MGAs. New MGA there is an idea, let's create the MGA. 2/3 or half of the budget historical has been, we need the IT. You remove that, you don't need that anymore. So and I think that's kind of that's what we want to achieve, right?
This is going to be so much more iterative and so much quicker as well, because you can just, if you see something doesn't work, you just dump it.
Yes, indeed. And then the cost was just small. You enable these guys to start developing, and then that's the beginning of that's when we start seeing innovation in insurance. Finally, maybe.
Well, that's really interesting. Well, that's a really good place to end. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me, and I hope you will have more fun podcasts on the way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.